Hi everybody, my name is Eric Maloney and I am the director, writer, editor, and star of Mainland, which is my most recent short film that I put out. So if you haven't watched it, please go check it out. I'd really appreciate it. But yeah, this project was really fun to work on. It was my most ambitious, and I just really want to talk to you about the experience of getting behind the camera and directing while also being in front of it. There's a lot of layers. So I'm going to talk about the 3 things that went really well for this project and 3 things that I know that can be improved for future projects, whether that's future iterations of Mainland or just future short films in general. So with that being said, let's talk about making Mainland. All right, so before we even dive into the positives and what can be improved with Mainland, let's talk about what Mainland really means to me. What's the origin of this project? And well, the true origin is that I am just a big Jurassic Park and Jurassic World fan. I've been wanting to direct a Jurassic Park or Jurassic World movie for ages. Probably since I was a kid, even really before I was really involved in film. I always pictured myself making my own dinosaur film. And so Mainland was originally constructed as just a offshoot of Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. Now dinosaurs are on the mainland, and what happens next? But now, with Dominion being out, the world has changed from my original concept. And so actually now I have a Mainland project that's associated with Jurassic World. That would be a mini-series, and then I would have 2 other projects that one would be a mini-series, one would be a movie that's its own IP of Mainland. So I'm trying to keep my options open when it comes to making a dinosaur movie, whether that's, if I get the chance to work with Universal on a Jurassic Park project, or I have to kind of start my own world in a sense. But yeah, so that is Mainland. I'm really hoping to keep pushing this project even further, so making longer and longer films, having more dinosaurs in them, that would be great. I'd love to partner with some VFX artists on YouTube, and hopefully, I'd be able to pay them as well. This was a no budget, I was really working with close friends and colleagues, and I'm really thankful for their help on this. If you are trying to make a no budget short film, then start by asking people who are closest to you, friends, family, colleagues, and more than likely they're going to be happy to support you on your initiative to make your own film. Which again, I am grateful for the people that signed up to be part of this. So yes, but with that being said, let's dive into the positives. What went right with making Mainland? All right, so number 1, what went right with Mainland? And that is the look. The look of Mainland is great. For no budget, for just using natural light, and the only piece of lighting equipment we use being a 5-in-1 disc diffuser, it looks amazing. It looks like it came out of a movie. It came out of a TV show. So Kevin, who was my main cinematographer, and then I also helped kind of co-DP on this, we did a great job translating this vision into reality. So I love the look. And so yeah, I talked about using natural light only. So what are the kind of tips I can give you when using natural light for your films, especially outdoors? It's find the right locations and understand where your light source is going to be. So what I mean by locations, I've been to this park multiple times where we filmed at. The pavilion, which is right at the entrance to the park, which I mentioned in the dialogue, I knew was going to be a great spot, especially being in the middle of the day. The sun is shining down, it's bouncing off the ground, and then right into the pavilion. So I felt like putting ourselves right at that bench, right at the edge of the wall, it's going to get the best, nice source of natural light bouncing off the ground. So that's why I picked that location. And then other locations, so let's talk about by the pond where Connor is taking photos. During the middle of the day, the sunlight is very harsh. We actually tried filming at this time and it just did not look great. So I decided to go out on my own one morning around 8 o'clock in the morning and film it on my own. I just pretty much sat myself in the position I knew I was going to be at. And then around 8 o'clock is where the sun came over the tree line, and I just set up a diffuser not too far away from me. And so I got that nice kind of source wraparound light when filming, which was really cool. So again, you have to understand where your light's going to be. I've been to this park multiple times. I knew where the sun was going to be in the morning, in the evening, middle of the day, and so I picked my locations around that and placed my diffuser where we needed it to be, where the source of light was going to come in order to get that cinematic quality lighting. Again, that nice little wraparound. I talk about that wraparound lighting in my cinematography video. You're welcome to check that out. But that's the first thing that went right with Mainland. So let's talk about number 2. Okay, what was the second thing that went right for Mainland? And that would be the action sequence. I was really nervous at first to direct this because I've never done action before. I've really only stuck to kind of more slower paced films, and this is my first time diving into something with a lot more quicker of a pace. And so, you know, I didn't know exactly what I really wanted yet. So what Kevin and I decided to do was to do some pre-visualization. We went out to the locations ahead of time and did some practice shots with just you know, Kevin behind the camera and me running, just to kind of get an idea of what we wanted. So we practiced the shot of Drew and I running through the forest while Kevin was parallel to us. We also did the parallax shot, you know, when Kevin kind of follows us with the camera coming out of the trail, and then we stop at the creek bed and then turn around. We do that parallax movement. So we practiced that as well. We practiced Kevin running in front of me, Kevin running behind me, again, just to kind of nail these shots. And we implemented all of these into the film. We actually also did this to kind of test out what lenses we wanted to use. Funny enough, the lens that we used during the pre-visualization, I forgot, and so we had to use my 24-70, which was a lot harder on a Weebill S, which is the gimbal that we used. So for a low-budget gimbal, it really held up well with the speed of running that we were going at and the tough terrain that we were running on as well. So that pre-visualization really, again, helped kind of solidify exactly the shots that I wanted for this. And again, I'm really happy with how the action turned out. It has that velocity, that terror that I wanted. And yes, there are some improvements I could definitely make, but you know, it's not through quick cuts. You know, it's longer tracking shots, which again, really solidify you in the spatial awareness of the action that's taking place. So yeah, I'm really happy with the action. So let's move on to the third thing that went right for Mainland, and that would be the audio design. The audio design, you know, it's really tough. There are a lot of layers you have to balance. There's music, there's dialogue, and then there's sound effects. And I think the biggest challenge in this is sound effects, because especially again towards that action sequence, there's so many elements you have to take into effect. There's the running through the woods, so making sure you're getting every branch, leaf that's crackling underneath, the impact of the foot. You also have to make sure that the dinosaur feels alive, so footsteps on that, so adding more mass behind it, those thuds. You know, roars, if you know it's a little further out, you want to make sure you're adding the echo. There were just a whole bunch of different layers and effects that I had to add on, and so there's just a lot of experimentation that went on through this process of audio design. And so if anything, this was probably one, other than the VFX, which we'll talk about later, this was probably the process that took the longest time within Mainland, just because I wanted to craft it to perfection, and I got a lot of compliments on the audio in this film, and yeah, I'm really happy of it. I don't really consider myself a sound designer or a sound mixer when it comes to filmmaking, but I'm really particular with what I want. I want to make sure it feels real and it grabs people and makes them feel like they're a part of the story. And that seemed to work out this time, so I'm definitely going to continue that for all my other films in the future as well. But those are the three things that went right with Mainland. So let's talk about what can be improved for future installments or just future short films in general that I make. So, what was the first improvement that could have been made to Mainland? And so this goes all the way back to pre-production, and I really wish I had more time to develop the script on this. Don't get me wrong, it works really well for what we made, but I would have loved to just taken more time to maybe run the script by some other friends of mine who are writers, get some feedback, make some improvements, and figure out maybe some nuances between the dialogue of different characters, just to give a little more context to my actors and me who's acting, just on how to approach the tone of certain characters, you know, how they would say certain lines a little bit better. And again, that also comes down to just my job as a director and interpreting my vision, but I just wish I could have added that a little bit earlier into the process with the script. And so, you know, we rushed this script, or I rushed this script, because we were trying to be a part of that Music Bed Film Challenge, and we didn't hit the deadline just for certain reasons. So, you know, that whole script was truncated to about a week and a half, when I wish I could have had a month or 2 months to fully develop the script and get rid of some exposition, or at least change that exposition around to feel a little more natural. And again, find those nuances in those characters to make them feel a little more individualized. So that would be my first thing I wish to improve, was just having a little more time to work on the script. And that was mostly just because of the situation I put myself in to write the script. But yeah, so let's move on to the second thing that could have been improved. And that would have been the shot variety, specifically around the dialogue scene with Nathan and Connor. It's done through a lot of close-ups. I wish I had a little bit more wider shots, I guess, with them, or maybe establishing shots to say, just to kind of show them in the same space together. We did a lot of coverage on this, but we really focused mostly on the close-ups, the tighter shots, because I was nervous about audio. This is my first time really doing dialogue, and I have my Rode Video NTG, and so I just really didn't know what the limits of how far we can keep this microphone away from me and Todd, where we had to concern ourselves with, would the dialogue come out clear? How much editing would I have to do? Would it catch too much wind or atmospheric noise? So we really stuck to the close-up shots, mostly for audio's sake. But now that I know the limits of the gear, specifically my audio gear, I'm willing to try and get a little more ambitious on the variety of shots we can get. I think we had a great variety when it came to the action sequence, the second half of the film. I would have loved to have more variety when it came to the first half. So that would be something I'd like to try out in my next film. But yeah, and so that brings me to the third thing. What's the last thing that we could have improved on in this film? And that would be the VFX. And so I have to give myself some credit here. This is my first time diving into VFX ever, my first time trying Blender, and I had to get some help. I had to hire a tutor to help me finally get that shot implemented into the footage, just because I just did not know what I was doing. Yeah, VFX are not easy. I have a lot of respect for VFX artists, and I really do want to work with some in the future, as I said earlier in this video. But I wish I could have paced myself a little bit more and been a little more particular about the final effect coming out, rather than kind of once I got it in the footage, then just kind of rushing it to get it rendered and putting it into the film. I think I just wanted to, because it was literally the last thing, like the last 1% of this film I had to get completed was that foot shot going down. And while it looks pretty good, there could have been some improvements made to that, specifically on the lighting side of things, on the subject, on the foot. That doesn't entirely match up with the lighting situation in the clip. So if I was a little more particular on that and made those adjustments, I think it would have looked better. But yeah, I think I did do a great step where it was adding a practical element into my clip, which was I made a fake foot in a way out of a guitar stand and a wooden board. And that was just mostly to get some kind of grass dispersion from the weight of the foot going down, and then I put the CGI over that. So I mean, that was smart on me to do that. It does help solidify the effect a little bit more, but again, I think the lighting was somewhat of an issue that I wish I was getting a little more particular on. I wish I took a little more time to maneuver that in Blender. But again, it was a new experience for me. I tried something, so I'm really happy that I tried something. It's not my forte per se, and I do really hope to maybe work with some VFX artists in the future on any future Mainland or just general film projects. But yeah, that's the last thing that could have been improved. But yeah, that's the overview of Mainland. Again, I'm really happy with how this film came out. This was kind of a dream come true of me finally being able to direct my Jurassic Park film. And this is just one step in the long trail that it'll take to get to directing a full feature of Mainland. Again, whether that's in the Jurassic universe or something separate, this is going to be something that I will do one day. And I promise you that this is something I'm going to work hard to do. And so I first got to start out in the writing room. I got to write my heart out on these stories, all these different projects, and then hopefully maybe get some concept art made, and then eventually maybe pitch it to some studios, and maybe, fingers crossed, Universal. But we'll see. We'll see. But yeah, thank you for watching this video. I hope you found it somewhat informative. And again, if you haven't watched Mainland, please go check it out. I'd really appreciate you all on watching that film. It's a lot of hard work put into by me, and then also my close friends and colleagues that helped me out with the short film. So show them some love as well. I'm sure they'd appreciate it too. But thank you all for watching this video. I'll see you all soon, and keep creating, keep having fun. Bye guys.